Hello everybody, welcome to The Alternative Voice Season 2. I'm Jade Neivens-Brown, the Director of Provisions Plus, and we are kicking off the second season now of our podcast, where we will be inviting in our approved training providers, our recommended suppliers, and also parents, carers, and our young people who access alternative provision. We're really excited. Thank you for joining us. Let's get started. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Alternative Voice podcast. I'm Jade Neivens-Brown, the Director of Provisions Plus, and today I am joined by Rebecca Freeman, who is the Managing Director of Illuminate, which is one of our approved training providers based in Bournemouth. So welcome, Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining us today. Do you want to start by just sort of telling us a little bit about yourself and your current role with Illuminate?
Yes, so I work for Illuminate AP, which is a alternative provision that comes under Adversio Education. And I am the Managing Director of Illuminate AP, and we're based in Bournemouth. We have a primary and a secondary site, and I work for two amazing directors, Brian Murphy and Richard Williams.
Yeah.
And I'll go into a little bit about the history of Illuminate AP and how it's come to be the alternative provision that it is.
Yeah.
So there was a opportunity in Bournemouth, just coming up to a year now, where there was already a alternative provision running, and it was facing some challenges. And Brian was asked to go down and have a look at that alternative provision as to whether he could support and make change down there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the alternative provision, with the problems that it had, wasn't able to make them changes to keep it running. But what Brian did do, because he is such an amazing human and so passionate about helping young people, is turn that around to then create a new alternative provision, which is when Illuminate AP was born.
Yeah.
And that's
when
I was...
so Brian, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so Brian, and it's so rich, and it's everything that they stand for, of how there's an opportunity to help young people, they're straight in there.
Yeah.
So that's when Brian then approached me, having known that I had worked with alternative provision and in a pupil referral unit.
Yeah.
For quite some time. He also knew about a programme that I had written called the Reset Programme. I also want to add that when Brian went down there and he was doing these conversations around the other alternative provision, and what he met with many people in the local authority.
Yeah.
To find out what the need was.
Okay.
And I think that's really important.
It
is to establish what the need was in that area.
And that's often missed, So a lot of people sort of set up an AP, they have an idea of, we're really good at this, so let's start an AP. But actually, if you don't know that there's need or demand, how do you know that you're doing the right thing, or that you're setting up the right thing, the right provision?
And I think
there's
so many ideas, isn't there? Like, I know I have loads that buzz around in my head of like, oh, that'd be really good. But actually, is it needed where you're at?
Yeah.
And that was something that he worked really hard with commissioners and the local authority down there to establish what was needed. And the biggest thing that come out of it was that reintegration and transition and re-engagement.
Yeah.
Is children not just being placed in AP.
Yeah. And being left.
And being left there.
Yeah.
And what's the purpose of what we're doing? And we'll talk about purpose a lot.
I was going to say purpose is huge to you.
I'm really passionate. Yeah, I'm really passionate about purpose. And so that's when Brian approached me, knowing that I'd written... So you
weren't already working for Brian?
Not at all. I've known Brian many years, but professionally and personally. So he approached me professionally, knowing what my ethos, my values, we always aligned.
Yeah.
In what we believe is the direction we want to be working in. What is it we want to achieve for young people? So he approached me. I'd recently stopped. The PRU I was working in was closed. So I didn't have a job. I was still looking for what I was going to do, my next steps.
Yeah. That timing is brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, really good timing.
Almost meant to be.
Yeah.
That he needed you at the time when actually you were looking for something. Yeah.
So we came together professionally and really took the reset program had been written, but it needed magic.
Yeah.
So Brian then worked alongside me to And together we refined the Reset programme and
Love
decided that was going to be our focus for Illuminate AP.
Yeah.
And opened up I think we took over the site down there from the 1st of November and took our first students within 6 weeks.
Wow.
Just before the Christmas holidays, we took our first students.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so it's literally just coming up to a year.
Yeah, just coming up to a year of being
And what a year
open.
it's been.
Absolutely unreal.
Yeah. So,
amazing.
like, talk to us about what has happened during that year, because there's been so many developments and just whirlwind, really.
Yeah, a real whirlwind. And we started with just the one site, which is quite a small site. Needed quite a lot of work doing. Just in terms of aesthetics of what it looked like, but also the curriculum, all of them things they didn't have anything. We weren't taking anything from what was used before.
Yeah.
We took on the staff, interviewed them through the safe recruitment and followed all of them processes.
So a lot of the staff that were working for the previous training provider were interviewed to stay on with you, yeah?
Yes, we gave them all that opportunity.
Brilliant.
And that was quite a big thing, is we didn't want them to be... they were being made redundant.
Of course,
so, and we'd watched them and they were really good. The mentors that they had and their vision aligned with what we were doing. So a lot of them came over to work with us.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, so it was a massive opportunity for them as well.
Yeah.
The site itself needed a lot of work and a lot of change in the curriculum, the policies, procedures, all of them processes needed a lot of work, and started from scratch with them and implemented all of that. So that was quite a big job at the beginning.
Yeah. Like, that must have had its challenges in itself for you going in as managing director, because obviously, especially working in, like, with the team coming over, or some of the team coming over, change can be difficult for people.
Yeah.
So that must have had its challenges for you in itself.
Yeah,
but...
and I think I'm quite open when I talk about the challenges that we've faced.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to acknowledge the challenges
Absolutely,
that we've
because
faced. And I think
you have to go through those, don't you, to get to where you're at now.
Where we are. And I think culture is a big... when you've got a team who are used to working a certain way, used to working with each other a certain way, with management a certain way, to come in and make that change to an entire team is always going to be challenging.
Yeah. It takes a certain kind of person to be able to go in and do that as well.
Yeah, and it did, and I've learnt so much, and I am really fortunate that I have Brian and Rich that I can go to for that support and ask them questions of that. And they are amazing at empowering me to do the job that I do, and allowing me to go in and make the changes that I need to make, have the conversations, but also offer me that guidance and support.
Yeah, brilliant.
And I think that's what, in the position that I'm in, I'm incredibly fortunate to have that.
Yeah.
Because I know that isn't something that is
available
to everybody.
Yeah, you are right. So you were telling us about the journey. So you had obviously the one site.
Yep. So we had the one site, and we opened up the Reset programme. And within, I think we took our first child just before the week of December holidays, and by the end of January we were full.
Wow.
So it's very much as well, when we talked about going back to local authorities and challenges and commissioning teams, is down in Bournemouth they have 2 referral pathways in that are completely different. That are also completely different to anything that I've worked with before. So learning to understand that and being able to channel and go down the right channels and establish them connections within the local authorities, but also then following their frameworks and getting onto their frameworks, but following the 2 different approaches to and referrals.
It's also then embedding everything that they want of you, embedding that into your daily practice, so that you know that you're doing everything that both of those local authorities want from you.
Yeah, and it's also the expectations around policies and procedures are completely different. So making sure that you've got both of them as well. That was something that we worked really hard to do, but by the end of January we were full for secondary. When I say secondary, it started at the beginning as primary and secondary. So we weren't taking we decided to take from 8 years old up to 16, and the reason for that was we felt like having younger than at 8 would completely not have worked with having secondary children. It was managed by having primary in the morning, secondary in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to come across in any way that we had all of them children
Yeah,
of all
of
of them
course.
ages on
Yeah.
one site at one time, because we didn't. We managed it by having AM and PM.
Even that, like, that's amazing to be able to have a centre that's being used by completely different age groups, but you've got everything that you need for both of those age groups
Yeah.
in a turnaround in a day, like morning and afternoon.
Yeah.
Like, how did you manage that?
So I think it's all comes back to the approach.
Yeah.
Is our approach has always been and stands for nurture and trauma informed.
Yeah.
And that is a whole approach to learning. It's our whole approach to how our venues are set out is from a nurturing perspective. And I think that is adaptable across any age group.
Yeah.
Is taking that concept of nurture and taking the concept of being a trauma-informed approach and looking at the why all the time in all behaviours communication.
Absolutely, yeah.
It doesn't matter what age group or what need you've
Yeah.
got in front of you, because you adapt around the child that's in front of you.
Yeah.
And that's what gave us that ability to have them different ages, is that it's being able to adapt.
Yeah.
So in terms of what the provision looked like, because it was nurturing, it suited. It could have young stuff in there and the older kids would find that comforting.
Yeah.
So it was having both.
Yeah.
And it worked for both age ranges.
That's good. And it also shows that you've got the right team around you, because for them to be able to adapt and be flexible in their approaches and sort of meeting the needs of all of the students in different age groups with such a quick turnaround from morning to afternoon, that shows that you've got the right team around you as well for that.
Yeah, and I think because we didn't open straight away from the 1st of November, we're still doing that due diligence and going for that. It gave us a massive opportunity with our team for me to go in and deliver training.
Brilliant.
To go over expectations, deliver the programme, make sure they knew the programme, writing the curriculum. My team were involved in every step of the way.
That's brilliant.
Within the first 6 weeks of writing the curriculum, their input to what a personal support plan looks like. My team were involved in all of that.
I love that. They need to be, because then they truly believe in what they're doing.
Yeah, and they feel,
and understand how to do it.
They feel empowered,
Yeah.
and they have accountability for it. And then it isn't just about, I have always said to my team that yes, me and Brian wrote Reset, but they brought the magic to it, and the delivery is in the magic, and they bring the magic to the programme.
Yeah.
And I strongly believe that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were doing that for I think about 4 months, and working with these young people, transitioning them. And we had success stories where we transitioned them to school successfully, back into education, whether that's mainstream or specialist. We very much was really successful. I think we then acknowledged that primary and secondary was challenging, purely because it's so needed. What we're doing and delivering is so needed.
Yeah.
And the demand for it is high. So we wanted to look at, okay, so what's next? What could we do to take this forward? And really, by chance, a local head teacher reached out to me, called John Bagwell, who is absolutely one of the most amazing humans that I've met.
Oh.
He is exactly cut from the same cloth of what our vision is, what all about children.
Yeah.
Everything goes back to the child. Primary school teacher in the local area, and he invited us in. We went in for a meeting.
Again, timing. What amazing timing.
The timings for all of these things is almost meant to be on
Yeah.
everything. So he invited us in, went in for the meeting and showed us around his school, and I was blown away for a primary school. It was beautiful. Everything's nurture.
Yeah.
And you'll see the beanbags. You'll see that, yes, they're learning, but they don't need to be sat at a table. His whole approach is just trauma informed, and just lovely to see.
Yeah.
That he knew every student's name.
Love that.
Kind of.
It's so important, isn't
when
it?
you see when you see a head teacher who's that passionate, that really.
And you can see like the little faces like light up when the head teacher walks in, and that they want to talk to the head teacher and stuff like that. It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was a really lovely environment, and he was showing us around his school, and he actually showed us a hub that is on site. So it's all secured, but it's separate to the school, and it has an outside area out the back that's all enclosed, like outside space that's enclosed. A beautiful brand new hub, and instantly I got really excited and I was like, oh
at
my
that
gosh.
time at that time, was that being used?
It was being used really vaguely.
Okay.
That's the only way I can describe it. Is it was they had a breakfast club and after school club that used it regularly every day, but during the day they would use it kind of hit and miss for some 5 sessions or therapy sessions for some of the children if they had someone external, but it wasn't being utilised.
The way that it needs to be.
No,
Yeah. So straight away you got really excited, which I'd have been exactly the
same.
same.
And I was like, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, and instantly I'm like, that could be a sensory room. That could be
your
this.
mind's like...
My mind was running away. And we instantly entered into conversations of what can we do? Where can we go? Like, what can we do with this? And fortunately, John was on the same page as us of what he wanted to bring in AP into schools instead of them being taken out. So we took the Reset programme, which is reintegration focused and transition, and we created the Reset Primary, which is re-engagement and transitions, and then looking at them bits in between around education, social and emotional development, looking at that but on a primary site. And that's really where Primary Reset was born.
And so when did you move in?
So we moved in, we went in over the summer and made all the changes that we needed, made it nurture provision, created a sensory room, created a quiet reading area, and it's beautiful in there, and it is so nurturing.
So you literally went in and had that meeting, you had all of these ideas about what you wanted to make happen, and then over the summer you went and made it happen.
So another quick turnaround from the same as last year really is being given a site and saying, here you go. And again, that goes back to Rich and Brian and how they empower me of going, we trust what you're doing and your vision to go. And I'm so fortunate to have that because I just go. And turned it into a nurture provision that opened in September.
Amazing. And it's all going well.
It's going really well.
And it looks amazing. Like, I genuinely can't wait to come and visit.
Yeah, and it's almost full. We're almost full. What we have done, and I think what's really important, especially with talking today, is we capped our numbers on both sides of what we will take. Whilst it's there, the numbers are there, it's needed, I won't take more than a certain number of children.
And I love that because you are really recognising exactly what the children need from you. It's not about just having numbers. It's about actually making a real difference and having positive impact on the young people that you're actually working with.
Yeah, and that all buys into the purpose of making sure what we're delivering and the purpose of why we're delivering that is upheld, is for every child. They're getting exactly the same thing. I think because we make things very bespoke and our programmes that we deliver are bespoke around the child's EHCP and their needs and what their next steps are. If you then overwhelm that with loads and loads of numbers, you lose it. And I don't want to lose sight of why we're doing what we're doing.
Absolutely. I love that approach. And it's like, it's just so nice to hear, because like I say, you could be having sort of more numbers, but that's not what this is about. That's not what AP is about. It's about tailoring provision and meeting students' needs and having true impact. So it's so lovely to hear.
And incredibly passionate about that. I think that's what the passion behind everything we do is purpose and everything that.
And you can feel that. Like you feel that with the whole team. Like it is really nice. Like. Yeah, and you can see as well when you can see that within a team, you can see that team all have the same values and that actually you're all working towards the same purpose, which I know is a really big thing for you. You personally,
and I think
isn't
as well the other thing is like the collaboration with other APs. Has been something that we've worked really hard on. When we went down there, it wasn't really like a common
No.
thing that was happening.
And that wouldn't have been easy either, because like you're the new people, you're like new to area, like you don't live in Bournemouth, like you're new to area, you're new and sort of taking over another provision, and the world of alternative provision can be seen as competition a lot.
And that makes me really uncomfortable.
Yeah, and me, I was just going to say, I
Yeah.
personally don't think that is the way forward. And the whole point of Provisions Plus is to create a network where people can work together and collaborate and work in partnership, and recognise that actually you may not be able to help every child that comes to you.
Yeah.
So it's about knowing other APs in your area that you can work collaboratively with to make sure that those needs are still being met. And you've managed that really well.
Yeah, we're all trying to achieve the same thing.
Absolutely,
And there are obviously having a program that we deliver that is a set program.
Yeah.
It includes maths, English, SEMH interventions, and AQAs.
Yeah.
That's what we deliver. We incorporate some elements of sport around when that's what a child's interest is. We incorporate that through the AQAs.
Yeah.
But there are alternative provisions out there who take the child out and do their mentoring and their life skills and offer something completely different to us.
Yeah.
So I want to work with them, and we do, and it has been successful with some of the APs that we work with now down there are exactly the same page as us. They want to work together,
which is good.
We're trying to achieve this. We then all attend the same review. We're not having separate reviews.
Yeah.
We all attend the same review to discuss what is best moving forward for the child. And I think it's challenging because not, like you said, competition.
Yeah.
It makes me really uncomfortable.
It is
a lot of alternative provisions do view it as competition. So pulling away from that and working collaboratively is something that we've worked really hard on and has been positive.
Yeah, that's good that you've actually been able to identify the providers within the local area that will work like that with you, because it just opens more doors for the young people as well, doesn't it? And I think that is one of the really important things about AP is actually just being able to recognise that your offer is brilliant and amazing, but what you offer, it just may not be the right thing at that time for that child. So if you can have those conversations and work collaboratively around a table or at the review meetings where you can say, actually, we've done this amount of work with this young person, but now we've recognised that the work that another provider is doing may be really beneficial, so we can help support with that transition now into that. Is that not magic? And then that's the next, whatever is the next best step for that young person. But all of those professionals are working collaboratively to make that happen. That's what this is about, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's the same with schools. And because our programme is focused on transition, I think there is a perception of alternative provision that is changing.
Yeah.
It needs to change quickly.
It is.
A bit quicker would be nicer, but there is a perception of alternative provision is you go in, you have a child, you almost are babysitting that child. The purpose was, and I think this goes back years, the purpose was that you had that child, they stay there, you're done with them, take them away, they move on to the next step.
Yeah.
Whereas we've created a programme that is about supporting during that transition. So when they come to us, they have to have next steps. They can't come to us and just sit with us and stay with us. And then getting the schools to kind of accept that they've got an alternative provision in front of them that's saying, we want to help, we want to support, we want to keep supporting transition and make sure that it's successful, of not just taking a child away from us. Allow us, I have mentors that go into schools and have been going into schools. They then channel over to outreach and go into support them in the lessons, support in the mornings, until they're
that's
ready
all part
to
of that programme. Yeah.
All part of the reset programme,
I'd say, was that a challenge? So obviously when you first started introducing this programme and you guys as an organisation to the schools, that approach that you take is very different and was very different to what I'm assuming had previously been happening, because there's not a lot of organisations that do practice that way. So was that a challenge in itself to get schools on board with that approach that you were taking?
Yes, it's hit and miss.
Yeah.
So you have some that are, I think once they understand and I'm able to say what it is that we can do, they're all for it.
Yeah.
And they want to buy into it and they utilise us and it works really, really well. I think some of them, it kind of goes back to the understanding of young people, doesn't it? Of knowing that they just accept that they've been put on their role, therefore they've got to manage, and end of it. We don't need your support because they've been enrolled with us, therefore they need to get on with it, follow our rules, follow our expectations. So there's always going to be the only thing I can do in that situation is send over the evidence of our personal support. I always send a transition support plan.
Yeah.
Is okay, so you don't want us to continue our physical support, but let me give you the written evidence,
everything that we
as
can.
much as I can, from an alternative provision. And I think some schools have really bought into and then seen, the more they see it, the more they're like, this is amazing.
This works.
This works and this is amazing. And
Yeah.
I think as long as they're open-minded to it, then it's successful. It's always going to be a challenge. Not everyone's always going to buy into it, and it is time. It's just time of making that change in people's mind.
Yeah.
And knowing that this is available to you.
Yeah.
This is what we can do.
That also comes down to relationships though. So like relationship building with the right people, the contacts that like your main coordinators in schools and with the local authority. So in terms of like those relationships with the local authority, before you started, obviously Brian he met with the local authorities in Bournemouth and had conversations about the need that was there. Has that worked well? So like the programs that they said that they needed, it's obviously worked well because you've been at full capacity and you've grown very, very quickly, haven't you?
Yeah.
Has that open communication with the local authority continued, or local authorities, has that continued during the journey?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really
so
good.
I still have, one of the frameworks down there in the Bournemouth framework's changing. So they're doing loads of consultation around that at the moment, but we've been involved in that. And we attend anything that we're invited to around them consultations. But in terms of, they have a very small team anyway for commissioning in BCP. So
which is so common.
Really a small team for the amount that they do. And I still have contact with them and have meetings with them, and I have good rapport and relationships with them. But what happens is you have the commissioners and their commissioning team, and then you have caseworkers, and they're the ones that you need to build up them relationships with, and they're the ones that, when they then understand, because essentially for BCP they choose whether they're going to use your provision. So by opening up our program to the caseworkers and them understanding what we're doing and we're delivering, that's when they're going, oh, I've got a child who will really need that pathway, the reintegration pathway. So that allows for more referrals.
That's good.
And in terms of the Dorset commissioning team, very much the same. We stay in contact. We have our key members of staff. Like I said, I'm really fortunate. Brian is a people person, and when he went in and he met the commissioners and shared his values and ethos and vision, they loved it. And he's built up a really good rapport and relationship with them, which then me going in, it's kind of it's easier for me. He's done a little bit
Brian.
of the work. Thanks, Brian. He's done that for me. So it's built from there and it's continued. And I think that's really important, to stay in contact. Is don't just pass your due diligence, go on the framework and walk away. Is I still, even if it's just about talking about young people, or is there any other opportunities, find out, go to the commissioners, ask them, and still stay in contact with them. That's really important.
It is really important. Okay, so we've talked about a lot about Illuminate and that journey. Can you talk to us a little bit about your own personal journey in education and in AP, and what's got you here as Managing Director for Illuminate? Talk to us about that journey.
So I have 20 years experience of professional and personal experience with SEND children, barriers to education, mental health in young people. I've done it for many, many years. So I went into working with young people when I was 18, and I started off just as a youth worker for West Berkshire. That's as vague as this is literal as it is. That was all I did. But quite quickly worked my way up to be in 2021 and running a project coordinator for the whole of West Berkshire funding that was allocated to young people, of managing that. and overseeing where funding went for children. And I think that's where I established that I liked working with the children that needed extra opportunities.
Yeah.
And were finding things more challenging. My passion came from that.
That's quite a young age, isn't it? So, like, very similarly, my journey started when I was 19. And I remember, like, I started working in a training provider, and I was only, like, a year older. So they had, like...
I had to wear a T-shirt
yeah,
to make sure they knew I was separate from the work.
Same. So I was, like, a year older than some of the young people that I was supporting. So at such a young age, like... you're engaging in that work and you love that work, but you obviously also have to be very mindful of things that if you're a little bit older that you wouldn't have to be mindful of. So I think like you learn lessons from like starting at that age anyway, don't you? Yeah.
And I think there was a lot more safeguarding in around me than there was around. And there had to be. And like I literally had to wear a bright purple T-shirt so that people knew that I wasn't a young person.
Yeah.
So that was the case for me. Yeah. And I think it did. And I think it only... it enabled me to go work my way up quite quickly within the local authority there to become the coordinator.
Starting at that age though, so this is like a personal thing really, because this is how I felt. So starting at a younger age and not being that much older than some of the students or being the same age as some of them, did you feel an extra level of pressure to prove that you could actually do what you were doing?
Definitely.
Yeah, same. So
and I think that's the only reason why I got that manager job.
Yeah.
Because I was adamant and I knew that there was a perception of me. I had my daughter when I was 19.
Yeah.
So I was working and I continued to work right up until I had her, and then I went back after 3 months, like was determined to do this.
Yeah.
So there wasn't just a perception of me for being young, there was a perception of me for being a young mum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we're going back 20 years, so it wasn't a good perception that people had of me for being a young mum. So being able to say I'll prove you wrong was massive for me.
Yeah,
it was really a real driving point for me.
Which is awful that like that's how things were, but also it's got you to where you are, because that mindset of wanting to do everything you can to be the best that you could in that position and to prove people wrong, like it's got you on your it's made your journey, hasn't it? Like,
and that understanding as well of like I was put in situations where people did make comments and they did say stuff, and I look back now and I think, oh my, you can't say that to people.
Yeah.
But they did, because of my age and because I had a baby, and I think I could only grow from it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have defined me in a completely different way. And I also had my daughter who I wanted to provide for. So
of course.
Naturally, working hard was the next steps for that.
Yeah.
And I continued to do that even after I had her, and until I was probably 22, 23. So I'd been doing it a good 5 years. And then I had my other children, took a break completely away from working with young people.
Yeah.
But just so happens that my path was to still stay working within that, because my 2 boys are special needs.
Okay.
And I went on to have my 2 boys, and one is diagnosed ADHD and autism. And then I have a younger son who's 15 now, who's diagnosed with autism, but socially nonverbal.
Yeah.
So being a parent to children is a completely different perspective to a professional.
Of course, yeah.
And actually during this time, I was a makeup artist. And I know this sounds really random, but I explored it because it fitted in around, I've got 4 children. So it fitted in around...
of course, you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, so it fitted in around my children, and I was able to then offer the support that my children needed. But it turns out I was quite good at it as well. So I worked and I was a makeup artist for about 5 years before I decided that I loved the job, but the money was great, like it paid well, but it wasn't enough. I wasn't getting anything from it. I wasn't getting purpose from it. No, and I couldn't. And I think you go to work and you work every day. It has to be something you love and you enjoy.
It does, yeah.
And I always knew, even when I left at 23, 24, I knew going back to working with young people, I knew that's what I wanted to do. Even from a young age, I wanted to be a teacher.
That passion was just there. It was,
And it didn't matter what makeup gave me and working in the beauty industry gave me. It didn't give me enough purpose and enough fulfillment. So
That's a big thing in itself as well. Like, a lot of people know that and can be in a situation where actually they know they're not getting that fulfillment, but they just sort of stick with it because it's working for now.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for you to recognize that and be like, so I need to change that. But no one can change your situation other than you.
And it's money as well. Like,
yeah. So you mentioned obviously that you have experience both on a personal and a professional level. Are you happy to share any details about like your personal journey?
Yeah. So obviously I have two children who are diagnosed with autism and ADHD, complete opposites. One is ADHD and autistic, and he bounces off the walls. He's 17 now.
Yeah.
And then I have a 15-year-old son who is autistic, but socially non-verbal. So complete opposite. Strangely, both of them really struggled in school, mainstream school. I couldn't get an EHCP for him.
Wow.
Even though I've been writing EHCP applications for years, I couldn't get an EHCP for him. And they really both struggled in mainstream school. It's so difficult because as a professional, I know exactly what I'm doing, and I go in and I do it, and I have these meetings and conversations every day. But as a parent and personal, that's challenging.
I'd say that's challenging because like you can identify things that actually would work and that they would need. But then if you're being told that actually you can't have an EHCP, or we're not going to do this assessment, or we can't do that, that must be really difficult.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, it doesn't make you very popular as a parent.
Yeah. So I had another conversation. We did some training earlier on in the week, and there was another parent in that training who said exactly that. It makes you unliked because obviously you're fighting for the rights of your child and for their education, but that then you can see people when you're arriving at school sort of like, oh, here she is, and that's awful for you to be made to feel that way just by trying to fight for the rights of your child.
Yeah. And I think you can't really win because it's a lot of parents. I mean, I'm privileged to have the education around what my child needs, and that's because I work professionally in that field. A lot of parents don't have access to that.
Yeah.
And I think that's challenging. And I think I mean, my eldest son left with no GCSEs, wasn't even allowed in school.
Wow.
So for me, system failed him.
Yeah.
My 15-year-old is homeschooled. I homeschool him now because they just weren't able to meet his needs.
Which I think, wow, like it's incredible that you're doing everything that we've spoken about with your journey, obviously with Illuminate, to also be homeschooling. Like, amazing. Like, amazing.
Thank you.
How do you even navigate that?
It works quite well because his hours of learning and things like that are all incorporated around when I go to do what I need to do, and I work in, and I'm very flexible there. Like I said, the company I work for is Brian and Rich. I'm so understanding and flexible and supportive that it allows me to be able. And we do weekends work. He does learning at weekends. It doesn't make a difference. So I dedicate my weekend to then teaching him and homeschooling him. But for me, it's frustrating as well because I feel like I shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
I do it because he's my son and I want the best for him, and he can engage and learn, but he shouldn't be like this.
Yeah.
And I think when you are working in alternative provision, and what allows me to be slightly different in my approach as the managing director is I can really empathise with parents.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important.
Really important.
It's so difficult for them we focus on the child, and it is all about the child, but also being able to offer that support to a parent and say, no, listen, we can do this, this and this. And I think that's something that I do pride myself on professionally, is that I can have them conversations. And it's not about oversharing. Like, I don't openly tell parents that I've got to autistic. But
it's coming from a place of experience, so you truly understand.
Yeah, and we're nearly at the end of my. Well, I say it's not at 17 now. We're at college, and that's a whole new experience. But I've gone through a lot and I've had to fight a lot of battles to get my child recognised. I mean, my middle child wasn't diagnosed till he was 13.
Wow.
And he's socially non-verbal. They just thought he was good at school because he didn't talk.
Wow.
Well, so he was then coming home, and then that's when the behaviours would be.
Yeah.
the complete opposite.
But then you have that battle, so like masking. So he's going to school
100%,
and
that's
he's
what it
like
was.
coping, well, not coping, but he's masking in that environment.
Yeah.
And then he comes home and you see a completely different like behaviour or behaviours. And then when you're having those conversations with schools 9 times out of 10 are saying, well, we don't know what the problem is because we're not
100%,
seeing that.
'cause he was
Well, you're
good
not
as
going to
well.
because he's masking.
And he was masking, but
Yeah.
he was socially non-verbal.
Yeah.
So on paper, he was brilliant.
Yeah.
What a lovely child to have in your class. And it is.
Yeah.
One that's compliant and well behaved, and it just gets on with their work and doesn't talk.
Yeah.
But actually, that was an unidentified need. Like, he was masked because he would come home and it would be carnage.
Yeah.
And I think that's the challenge. Is I think my passion for what I do is having seen where my children were let down, and that's really difficult for me as a mum. That's really difficult for me, and I never want a child or a parent to feel and be in that situation that I've been in.
Yeah.
And it is me. It's on my own. It's not a partner. It's just me that's battling for my children. So I don't want anyone to ever feel, from a parent point of view, that they end up like where I've been and what I've done. So I try and incorporate that into my professional role as well.
Which is amazing. Like, to take from your own experiences and just like embed that into the practice that you then have to support families and young people. Like, amazing. It is amazing to draw down on those skills, and like it can be difficult. It can be really difficult to sort of. What I'm trying to say is it can be difficult to, a lot of people just deal with home life as home life and then work life as work life. But obviously, because of the work that you do, you could take a lot of skills from those experiences that you're having at home.
Yeah.
But it's also like, because a lot of them can be very difficult sometimes or challenging to navigate at home, it would be easier sometimes for you to switch off when you're at work of what's going on at home.
Yeah.
But you're using those experiences to make sure that other people are getting the support that they need and that actually you needed at one point.
Yeah.
And there was no one there giving it to you. So hats off to you.
It's very it's my life. Like when I say I've got 20 years experience, even though I wasn't working within that, I went off and did a different industry.
Yeah.
My home life then is stepped up, and everything at home is routine and it runs a certain way, and I've been surrounded by that my entire life, so it's very natural, and it is across home and work. That
again though, like when all of this changed in your, like the change for you moving over and moving to work with Illuminate, that would have been a huge change for you and your family. But that's a change that you've managed to navigate. And actually, like you said about routine, that would have all been completely new routine. But you've managed that, and it is working. It's working well for you and your family. But that isn't something that should be overlooked, because, like, again, amazing work to you and your family for actually managing that transition. To make it work. Like that.
And I mean, if I sat here and I said, "Oh, it was really easy," and it was two of the reasons why I took and did this is, one, because of the reset and the opportunity I had to, like, for what I want to do and the passion behind it and helping as many young people as I can. It was a massive opportunity for me. Two, Brian. If I sat here and said any different, it would be because of Brian's passion and vision for what he wanted to achieve and where he wants to go. We align so much that there isn't probably anyone else that I would have made them such a big change to my life, because it's going away, it's staying away. They are significant changes in my life when I've got other children, and my youngest being 12, so it's different changes to her. Changes to routines. So there isn't anyone else that I would have done it for.
Well, that says a lot about Brian and about how you feel about that.
And the program,
and his passion.
Like, Brian, the reset program and the vision is everything. Like that is what my driving thing behind me, even entertaining going to do it. So
I love it. But how well has it worked out?
I mean, I'm happy and
fulfilled.
Yeah, and fulfilled, and I'm doing something that I'm privileged to do something that I love and enjoy.
Yeah.
No matter how hard work it is or how many hours it takes, I'm privileged to have a job that I love.
Yeah,
so,
and to know that you're truly making a difference. Yeah.
But so going from the makeup artist to being a TA in a mainstream school was completely different. And I think I stayed within that mainstream for 9 months, Jade.
Yeah.
And very quickly decided that
mainstream's not for me. I knew you were going to say that because I've had exactly the same experience.
I stayed 9 months and very quickly decided that it wasn't for me. I felt too restrained by what I could and I couldn't do.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was about numbers. That children were numbers, they weren't children.
Yeah.
And with all the will in the world, it doesn't matter how passionate and how much of a different approach you want to have to it. Unfortunately, one, it's about capacity.
Yeah.
It's no fault. I'm not criticising mainstream, but it's about capacity. They have certain things that they need to achieve.
Yeah.
And so you're working towards that. You're not working towards what I was interested in.
Yeah.
So then took a position within a pupil referral unit, and probably one of the best decisions I made.
Yeah. Although what a huge change to
another
mainstream.
Huge change.
Yeah.
And another
I mean, you're definitely
experience.
adaptable and flexible.
and up for new experiences of taking a risk and going, okay, let's try, let's see what we do. But fell in love with it. Fell in love with working with in a Peru, and fell in love with the children that we were working with, and found that this is my passion. And I was teaching within the Peru as well. I was teaching and that's when I did my degree.
Amazing.
I hadn't done it before, so I did my degree in teaching and education. Found that boring, if I'm being honest, because teaching it was teaching education. Again, you're taught to learn teach a certain way.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I've always been quite, don't necessarily like the rules and following the rules and like to go a bit off.
You want to do it a way that you know is going to work.
Yeah. But the Peru environment allowed me to do that.
Yeah.
And so I worked my way up through the Peru of being a TA to then being a teacher and then being the RSHE, PSHE teacher and lead.
Wow.
To then becoming a DSL. I was DSL for 6 years, 4 or 5 years of being there, and safeguarding, and found out that was a whole new aspect that I was really passionate about and really enjoyed because it was a whole other group of young people and needs that I would be able, and I kind of hyper-focus as well on them things of going, oh, brilliant, something new to learn.
Yeah.
So then I learned all about exploitation and them aspects of safeguarding, and worked my way to being the assistant head.
Wow.
And
that is incredible, isn't it?
And then worked as assistant head, but worked really closely, and that was for inclusion, assistant head of behaviour and inclusion, but worked really closely along the SENCO and picked up a lot of the SENCO job role as well for over a year. So
wow.
I learned a lot. Had my own, they essentially, for one of the times when I was teaching, they took me, they had opened a provision off-site that they called the nurture provision. But again, that was my first opportunity to run with what I wanted to. Did the nurture practitioner course, and they just gave me free rein to turn this. And it was the most hideous, youth centre based on in the middle of shops, in quite a rough area, a well-known area.
Yeah.
And they placed me in this youth centre with nothing, but it had a pool table and a couple of tables and chairs.
But I bet straight away your mind was like, okay,
100%.
Yeah.
Literally, I was like, okay, so
what we doing?
How much have I got to work with? Created a sensory room, channeled it into, this is the learning zone, this is the eating zone. I absolutely loved my time there.
Yeah.
And turned it completely around into a nurture provision. And that was my first opportunity, really, of taking that nurture.
Yeah.
Before I'd even gone on to doing the inclusion assistant, this was just what I was teaching. And I was left there. And I say left because I literally was left with me and a TA with 14 children in a venue, just running nurture provision of an education incorporated into that.
Yeah.
So it was really good. It was challenging.
And did you feel fulfilled?
Yeah. definitely felt fulfilled and felt like it was, that's where I want to go. I want to continue the trauma-informed, the nurture approach. Why isn't this approach everywhere?
Yeah.
That's what I was asking myself.
Yeah.
And again, later on, being an assistant head, they then found another provision, which was a lot nicer, to be fair, a lot nicer building, and asked me to turn that into a nurture provision, which then
It's
again, the
becoming a
budget
theme.
was higher. Yeah, and we had a higher budget for that. So then it became a lot more, I could do more with it. And
I bet that day felt amazing, because it's not like, I mean, you know, sometimes you're given a project like that and you're given a very, very small budget, and it's like, okay, we've got all these amazing ideas and we could do these incredible things, but if the money's not there, you need to think outside the box to think, what can we do within budget but still make it special?
Yeah,
and I'm sure you did that.
Along the whole, all of these journeys, money is not something that is readily available, and you can just throw money at it and make it work. It's not. All of these have taken incredible amount of time and planning, and it hasn't been loads of money spent. Yeah, it hasn't been loads of money thrown at it, and it's only successful because loads of money's been, not at all. Yeah, it's
being creative and thinking outside the box and thinking about, from everything you've learned, what works and what can we now embed into this to make it work again, or to improve it or develop it. Like,
and every sensory room that I've created, I've painted myself.
Yeah, and I love that though.
I've gone in and I've painted, and it's been hands on, and I've painted it and decorated it myself, and I'm not qualified in that, but I've done.
But I'm here for it.
I've done quite well.
Yeah.
But I've made it special. You can make it special, and I think you have to. In both the provisions we currently have, and in any provision that I've worked in before, you have to put your personality into it, and that passion has to come through.
And I think it's so important for you to be involved in those things, because you're creating that space. So why would you not be picking up a paintbrush and actually getting involved and doing it as well? Yeah. Like, you don't want to just have this vision and then someone else just create it for you so you can walk in and it's perfect. You're putting heart and passion and soul into it. Yeah. Like, I love that. Like, I know you worked really, really hard through the summer to create and to prepare the primary site, but what an amazing feeling when you've walked in September and looked at that site ready for the children to come in and for it to truly have impact, and you've done that.
I think the best feeling that I had from September was when we had 2 children that were based on our other site, who were obviously primary age, so they've come over and transitioned to our primary site. And walking in,
I know what you're going to say already.
Thriving and excited and being like, "Thank you so much, Becky, for this." Like, and that's literally how it's. Thank you so much, Becky. This is such a nice school now, and this is like, we get to go outside, and then them excitement and them being able to engage in their learning in that environment
makes it all worth it, doesn't
everything.
It? Yeah,
that is everything. Is them children being in front of you, but also the change in their behaviours. Yeah, there was a massive change from their because we've changed their environment. We can see that they've changed in their presentation, and it showed that we had the best intentions with having them 2 sites together to start with, but it wasn't right. Yeah. And now we've got the secondary, it's right. Yeah. And primary site separate, it's right. Yeah. Because there's even changes in behaviours and escalation from environmental changes is made a massive difference. Yeah.
And they're like recognising that that's their space, so they want to respect it, and
and grateful. And I go in now and they've got pictures. I love going there because they've got pictures up, and they're doing like sensory play and forest school, and they get the opportunity to go out and do all of these things, and they are just it just is all about their needs. Yeah, and
which is what it should be. That's what AP is. It is all about being able to identify the needs of the young people and tailoring provision to make sure we're meeting those needs. So you're doing it right.
Yeah. And then being able, like, for me, every child has the right for an education. Yeah. And they say, oh, they can't learn. Well, no, they can. Yeah. It's how they learn. Yeah. And what needs to be put in place to support them in learning. And obviously it's very different with primary. You're very focused on that, of it being what is it they need to engage and learn. Secondary slightly different, because I feel like with secondary they've had a negative experience of learning.
Yeah.
So then you are trying to change it round to, now let's show you a positive experience of learning. You're changing the experience.
Yeah.
Whereas with primary, it's really identifying that you can manage, you just need an exit card.
Yeah.
Or you just need to have a sensory room, or you need to have that input, or you need this therapy or these interventions.
Yeah.
And that's that is the whole purpose of Reset across both, is to be able to give something back to the school.
Yeah, to identify strategies that have worked,
and coping strategies and mechanisms that work for the child, so that they can then be successful.
Yeah, I love it. I just love it. I can't wait to come and see the primary site. I really can't. So thank you so much. Like, this has been wonderful, like having you on the podcast and just hearing all about your journey and like the journey of Illuminate. And I'm so, like, both on a professional and a personal level, like I'm so happy to be working with you guys. I think, like we've mentioned a lot in the podcast and in other conversations as well, around like values and purpose. And I feel that all the time when I'm with all of you. And it's such a lovely feeling. So thank you for that. It's lovely to have you part of the network with Provisions Plus. Obviously, it was sort of towards the end of the last academic year, wasn't it, that we started working together. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that relationship just develops even further throughout this academic year, and just, seeing you involved in all of the things that we've got to offer as well.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all of the support that Provisions Plus and you have given me.
It's a pleasure.
Because I think what you're doing is so important. And
Thank you. I think there's definitely a need.
Yeah, it's so important. There's definitely a need, and I think it has supported me in going, oh, okay, you kind of need somebody to say, okay, let's do this, but also the connections that it's made for us.
Yeah.
And obviously one of our focuses is mental health at the moment, opening us up to other professionals that we can then work alongside. So thank you, and thank you for having me on here today.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it a lot.
No, thank you so much. So let's continue working closely together and see what this year's got to bring, and I'm sure that it's just going to be filled with even more exciting things on the journey, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that takes us. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
Thanks.